Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. So of course it's Monday. I hope you had a great weekend and I hope you're having a great Monday, or actually Tuesday for some of you. So I have your weekly dose of ghost stories and weird stories and creepy stories and stories about people that shouldn't be doing things. So that is what we are doing today. But first of all, I want to say a huge thank you to our sponsor of today's video, and that is the amazing June's Journey. June's Journey is a hidden object mystery game based in the 1920s. It's completely free to download, and let me tell you, it has some of the most visually stunning, beautiful scenery in the game. It is absolutely incredible to look at and take everything in. So the game for me has always been my kind of calming wind down time just before I go to bed, get off my social media platforms and kind of escape my work world for a little while. It's not intensely challenging in any way. It's not one of those games where you're trying to like rush and hurry. It's a really nice, calming, relaxing game. It's very much in my kind of, I guess, realm of everything I love. It's a true crime game, and I know a lot of you that watch my Ghost Story series are into those kind of things. So I know you guys will love it as much as I do. I'm so into this game. Like I said before, it's free to download, so I will leave a link in the description box below for you so you can check it out for yourself. Okay, so guys, last Monday, wasn't that incredible? That was the most amazing episodes so far. I asked you to send in your videos and your audio recordings of yourself telling your stories because it was easier for me to edit. I just took the chunk of you telling your story. I did my makeup in the background, onto the next one. I didn't have to cut me talking, you know? So it made it so much easier for me to edit. I was able to make the video about 45 minutes long or something. So a lot longer than my usual 20-minute videos. And you all loved it so much. And I did too. I thought it was absolutely incredible. We had some amazing storytellers, and I'm so thankful to them for sending in their stories. So here's how we're gonna do Mondays from now on. I'm still gonna tell your stories if you want to email them in and you feel comfortable doing so. But I'm also going to play audio clippings and your videos of you telling your stories mixed in all together. So we have all these mediums. Let me just tell you, it was so incredible to hear all the different accents, all the places that you are from, and all these people watching my videos. It was so incredible to hear all these voices. So this week's theme, you know me, I'm not very good at coming up with stuff anymore. I usually ask all of you to come up with stuff. So June's Journey has their 3rd anniversary coming up. 3 years. What is 3 years in anniversaries? Glass, right? In the 1920s, it used to be leather, but I'm not a leathery kind of person. So I was like, glass is great. And also recently I got these from Dominique Cosmetics, and they just look like, they remind me of like stained glass. So we're gonna go for that kind of vibe. And I'm also gonna use the eyeshadow palettes from Dominique Cosmetics and just mix it up a little bit. Pretty much everything I have here is from Dominique Cosmetics. Also, just as I like to always mention, this series is very much based on Bailey Sarian's Murder, Mystery and Makeup Monday. So go ahead and check her out. She mixes true crime and makeup. So I'll link her below, although I'm sure you already know who she is. Shall we? Let's get into it. I'm going to read a story first. Oh, that's a lot. I spoke a lot there. Sorry. All the products I use, I will link below so you can check them out for yourself. Okay, let's go. Okay, our first story today is called Creepy Man. In my old town, I used to go on walks with my binoculars to look at stars. I have lived there all my life at that point, and I found nothing scary or worrying about it. So I did as I usually did and went for a walk. The town wasn't huge, and I knew every corner of it so well that I could walk through it even if it were jet black. And that night, it sort of was. The streetlights didn't turn on that evening, and it was winter. So that meant it was very dark outside. This for me meant a perfect opportunity to go for a walk and look at the stars, as there was nothing to obstruct the view. But as you can tell, that's not really how it went down that evening. Well, sort of. It was the first 30 minutes or so I was doing exactly that, enjoying my evening, eyes finding those specific constellations. It took me a while to notice the steady headlights which were parked on the side of a road. I was minding my own business, but I paid more attention when I noticed that the headlights were in fact slowly following me. It seemed surreal to me at the time, as it was simply not something that occurred in our town. I found it very strange. I wasn't sure at the beginning, and it wasn't until I started to gradually put more force into my walk that I noticed that the car started to speed up. Comprehending this switched on my flight reflexes immediately, and I began to run. Knowing the town so completely came in quite handy. Sprinting, I took a swift turn down one of the roads that I knew had a quick pathway to one of my friend's gardens. I quickly slipped through the narrow opening in the bush, and I stayed put behind it until I would hear the car drive away. The car didn't drive elsewhere as I had expected it to. Instead, it did the opposite. It drove down the road which I had run down and slowed to a stop. The car door opened, the car still on. A man stepped out. I didn't notice his face or any other features in the black clothes. I was too busy calming my breathing, as I would have nowhere to go if he did find me. The man walked around for a minute, casually checking the area. At that point, I couldn't help but become angry that I couldn't do anything other than wait. I felt incredibly helpless as well. If he did find me, no one would know. But he did eventually get back into the car and drove off. I have no idea how long I actually waited behind that bush to be sure that he really did leave. The sprint home was the worst. The town was still dark, and for the first time I was scared to be alone in my town. I got home, and I didn't go for a walk to look at the stars the next day. My parents never noticed. Maybe he wasn't looking for me, and maybe he thought I was lost. But I have a feeling in my gut that just isn't true. Yeah. I don't think he was trying to help you in any way. That sounds very suspicious. Like, why would they be watching you initially? Like, oh, I'm just watching you to make sure that you don't look too far into space. You know, like, what are they looking out for? Do you know what I mean? Be careful. Well, I'm glad to know you're safe and that didn't go any further because that is terrifying. No, thank you. Okay, let's have an audio story.
Hello, Robert. I hope you're well. I'm a huge fan of your videos and I love watching your ghost story ones. I have already emailed you about one that happened recently, but I just thought I would give you a hands-free, or should I say eyes-free moment and tell you a few little experiences that I had growing up. Hopefully my Norfolk accent isn't too annoying and that I don't mess this up for the 5th time. So I'll start by saying these things happened in my parents' current house that I lived in from 8 to 18. With it being a 4-bedroom house and there being me, my parents, my baby sister and 2 older brothers, my mum thought it was only fair that we rotate sleeping arrangements every few years, starting with my brothers sharing, then me and my sister sharing as she got bigger, then back to me on my own when my elder brother moved out. I will also add that I have slept in all 4 bedrooms at some point in those 10 years, but only had experiences in 2 of the rooms. My first bedroom was small, but big enough for me and my toys, and despite having siblings, I loved being on my own, playing with my Little Ponies, and I was very imaginative. But anyway, I remember something happened that didn't scare me at the time, but definitely creeped me out as I got older. So, I was sitting on the floor in front of my bed, playing with the ponies, when all of a sudden, I hear my box of toys in the corner of the room rattling. I glance over at it. I think maybe there's too much in the box and it's fallen onto itself. So I carry on playing. I then hear it again, but quicker than I can glance, my quilt just flopped over my head. I sit for a second, and then get up, put my quilt back on the bed, and think nothing of it. My mum, however, was very weirded out by it. Now, as I got older, I started to notice that the downstairs hallway felt a bit creepy at night, like someone was standing in the shadows. I got into a habit of running up the stairs without looking through the banister in case I saw something through the wooden spindles. As my sister got a little older, my mum moved us into the main bedroom with the bunk bed. My room on our room was quite crowded with our stuff, and sometimes my mum would sleep on the trestle bed if my sister wasn't sleeping. Now at that time, I didn't think the room was creepy, but for some reason my mum would have reoccurring nightmares, always when I was away, that something was watching her sleep, faced parallel to her, and she'd open her eyes and see its face and scream out loud. Now this next thing isn't paranormal, but it's still weird, and I've only remembered it as I've got older. But one night, in my sleep, I unplugged one of those static electric lamps that was on a shelf behind my head, and I brought it to the bottom of the bed to where my feet were, and then I dropped it on my mum's feet as she slept on the trestle. I was on top bunk. I don't know what spurred me to do something like that. I've never done anything like that before, but it's still quite weird that I went through so much trouble to unplug something, take it off its shelf, move it, and then drop it. Very strange. But now, at this point, I'd moved out, and my parents had moved themselves into the main bedroom. And whenever I'd travel, I would always be quite tired when I'd visit them. And my mum would suggest going for a nap on her bed. One time, I decided, okay, I will, so I napped. But then I felt a pulling feeling on my legs, as if the quilt on either side was being pulled down, or like a heavy pillow had been placed on my feet. Now that woke me straight away, but nothing was there, and I tried not to think too much about it, until the second time I wanted to nap. But this time, I felt a press on my chest that winded me, and I woke straight away, and that creeped me out. As soon as I woke up, I didn't see anything, but I knew something was in that room, so I had to get out. And ever since that, I don't like being in that room on my own. I will never nap in that room again. I don't know how my mum sleeps in that room, but she does. The whole house is quite creepy now. I don't like being there. Sometimes we've had dogs barking at nothing, and it's just very weird. We thought maybe as we were growing up, there was probably a child ghost because it involved my toys. But it wasn't just me that was getting these things happen. My sister had these things happen, and my other brother, who is also the one that decided it would be a good idea to get a Ouija board out at his friend's house. So I think possibly he has brought something negative to the house. I don't know if there's been anything recently that's happened, but that was the last thing that happened to me, and that was probably 3 years ago. Don't really want anything more to happen in that house, if I'm honest. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my little stories, and yeah, I'm sure you've done amazing makeup as usual, and yeah, I look forward to your future videos. Bye!
Thank you so much. First of all, your accent is absolutely fine. I actually didn't hear a difference between mine and yours. First of all, thank you so much for sending that in. What a terrifying situation to find yourself in. Listen, whatever it is, doesn't like your mum, really has out for your mum, right? Whack a little bit of this purple on. This is beautiful. These are going on really nice and creamy because they're creams. Thank you so much again. I'm going to do another audio one because I need to level up my eyes here.
Hello, Robert. How are you? I'm Elisar. Sending you a big hug from Beirut all the way to the UK. I love you, I love James, and I want to thank you for all the tips that you are giving, especially the concealer one. It changed my life. And I really enjoy the ghost stories. So I'm gonna share mine. I already sent you an email with my story, but you never read it. So if you ever saw a title of Dare to Sleep, ooh, don't read it because it's the same story. Anyway, the story that I'm gonna tell you now, I don't know if it's a ghost or it's a creature. Honestly, I know nothing about, so I'm gonna keep it for you to decide. One night we were gathered, my cousins and I, all together, telling stories, memories, blah blah blah, until we stumbled to a topic of something that our parents, when we were young, they used to scare us with. She's called Tabia. Honestly, I know nothing about. I have no idea what she is. I don't know if it's religious, if it's only a myth, if it means anything. I don't know anything about. All that I know is that I used to hear about it a lot when we were kids. Our parents used to scare us with, if you did anything wrong, she will come to you, she will haunt you, blah blah blah. So personally, I never believed in it. I always thought it's a myth. But my cousin, which was there with that night with us, she always used to say that she sees her, and I never believed her because I never believed in it. So, and I personally thought that if anyone talked about it, you're gonna see it because your subconscious is gonna scare you. So yeah, I used to say that all the time. So that night we start telling stories, memories, and then we start talking about it. And I was like, come on guys, there's nothing like that. It's only a myth. Our parents used to scare us with that. She doesn't exist. And my cousin says, trust me, she does exist. And I'm like, no way, she doesn't exist. She's only a myth. Come on, grow up. We're all grown-ups now. And she said, I am a grown-up and sometimes I still see it. So don't say that she doesn't exist because she will come to you to show you that she exists. And I'm like, well, then, if she does exist, then I dare her to come and visit me. And she said, well then, you asked for it. And I was like, whatever. So I went back home. I went to sleep. And because I'm a very light sleeper, every time I want to flip over from side to side, I wake up, I open my eyes, and I flip. That moment, I was laying over my back. So I opened my eyes and I was trying to flip to my side. And then I saw something just standing in the corner of my room, staring at me. As if that isn't creepy enough. She's just standing in the corner, watching me, sleeping, waiting for me to flip, to open my eyes and see her. For a second I thought I was dreaming, like I might be closing my eyes. So I closed my eyes and I opened them again. And she's there. And trust me, it's like seconds. I reopened my eyes. She like flew in less than a second from that corner over my bed. I was laying on my back. She was above me. I couldn't see anything except she's wearing a white gown. She has a pitch black hair. She has no face, only eyes. And she has huge fingernails. Large, tall, scary. So the moment I saw her, and I was sure that I am awake, I'm not sleeping, I'm not dreaming, it's not sleep paralysis. Like, she's there. I closed my eyes and I reopened them again. So I was trying to scream. In that moment, she put her finger over my mouth and she said, shh. Like, I'm not allowed to speak. I'm not allowed to scream. I'm not allowed to do anything. I couldn't move. I couldn't open my mouth. I couldn't even move my finger. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even scream. So I closed my eyes. I said a prayer. Then I opened them again. I tried to scream. I couldn't. Then I looked at her, and she's aiming at me and laughing. She didn't say anything, but the way she was laughing, I knew that she's telling me that you can do anything. Like, I'm here right now, and until I leave, you can do anything. Like, she's in control over me. And then I closed my eyes again. I said a prayer, and with every single muscle and strength that I have left, she drained me. I screamed. This time I was able to scream, but for the first time I screamed from the inside out. Like, I couldn't even explain how I screamed. For like split seconds I couldn't even have a voice, and then I don't know how I was able to scream. My mom was passing by my room, so she just stand by at the door, looked inside at me screaming. She didn't see it. I was the only one seeing it. She just looked at me and she was like, see, I do exist. My mom couldn't see it. And then she disappeared. And then I was able to talk, so I asked her to turn on the lights. She did. And she said, there was nothing in your room. I was standing at the door when you screamed. I saw nothing. I was the only one seeing it. How? I don't know. So my mom told me, it's a nightmare, you were dreaming, there's nothing there. I didn't see anything. And I told her, no. Like, I closed my eyes 3 times and I opened them again. She is there. I saw her. I wasn't dreaming. I couldn't do anything. She paralyzed me. So she said, I don't know. I'm sure that it's a dream. There's nothing there. I didn't see anything. But since that moment, I didn't see it again, because I never talked about it anymore. I didn't say anything about it. This is the second time I talk about it, because the first time I wrote that email, and this is the second time. Since then I didn't see it. She didn't came back, thank God, and I wish she never come back. I think she just wanted to show me that she exists, and to never doubt that she exists. So yeah, this is my story. Please tell me, what do you think? Do you think it's a creature? Do you think it's sleep paralysis? Do you think it's a ghost? Personally, I don't think it's a sleep paralysis, because I wasn't sleeping. I was awake and I saw everything around me. So tell me your thoughts, and thank you for listening. Sorry if the story was long. Sorry for my English. I love you very much. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. First of all, I nearly cried because that was so scary, but I love it. So thank you. And can I just say something? This is something I get a lot in emails as well. If you can speak more than one language, never apologize for your pronunciation or grammar or anything like that. I can only speak one language. I wish I could speak another language as well as everyone else can speak mine. So yeah, never apologize for that, because your English was perfect and you told that story so incredibly well and terrified me. It's really difficult because everyone's sleep paralysis experience seemed to be different, but also very, very similar in terms of creatures and them kneeling on them and hovering over them, or starting in a corner of a room and then making their way. But the way it ties in with your like actual life, like the way you were saying how you didn't believe in her and you're like, come and find me if you're real, which I think was your mistake there. That's kind of a little bit scary. I don't know how sleep paralysis works like that. Like, does it work like dreams where our lives do kind of incorporate themselves into our dreams? I feel like if you feel like it was real, and if you were like, this is happening and I'm not asleep, then it happened, right? If you get sleep paralysis, I know some people listening do. Tell me what it's like. Tell me what you think of that story. Because that's very interesting. Thank you so much for sending that in. And I will find your email. There seems to be something happening where I'm missing emails somehow. Yeah, I'm not sure how it's happening, but then I will type it in and then it'll be there. I'll find it. So clearly my email is haunted. Okay, so I'm gonna read one for you now. This is called The Cold Room. First off, let me just say, I only recently found your channel, but I absolutely love your videos. Thank you. Oh no, I got this on my ring. You're so informative and educational while always being constructive and positive, which is amazing. Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm a makeup artist part-time, and I'm so glad to see someone actually providing helpful advice. Thank you. Because if I have one more client ask me to bake their under eye area, I'm gonna swear off human contact forever. I honestly never thought I'd have a ghost story of my own, but lo and behold, my house is haunted. I live with 3 roommates in Toronto in a house that is over a century old. We occupy the 2nd and 3rd floors, with other tenants occupying the 1st floor and basement. On account of our house being fairly old, the heating isn't the greatest, and we often complain about how cold it gets in there during the winter. We're in Canada, so as you can imagine, the winters here are pretty unforgiving. We didn't think anything of it until we realized that my roommate's bedroom is significantly colder than the rest of the house, by at least 4 or 5 degrees if I had to guess. Again, didn't think much of it because we knew that the roof in that room had some issues, but even once the roof was fixed, the issue persisted. We just accepted it and moved on. Cut to this week. I work from home most days, and I'm usually in my bedroom or living room on my computer doing admin stuff. I was sitting and working the other day in the living room when I heard our motion sensor garbage can open on its own. It kind of freaked me out, but again, I didn't think much of it, as these things happened. This happened at exactly 11:39 a.m. which I know because I looked up at the clock on my computer when I heard the garbage can open. This was on a Monday. I wasn't home Tuesday or Wednesday, but on Thursday it did it again. And at the exact same time, it had happened on Monday. So at this point, I was freaked out. I jokingly messaged my roommates that the garbage can has opened by itself and that we need to either burn the house down or call a priest. And my roommate with a cold bedroom replied, "Oh my god, the same thing happened on Saturday and Sunday when I was home alone." Now I'm officially terrified, but trying really hard to rationalize it all. We messaged the downstairs tenants, Joe and Larry, not their real names, to see if we were going crazy, and asked them if they had heard any weird noises or anything. They said they hadn't heard anything out of the ordinary and asked us what was going on. We told them about the garbage can opening and the fact that the one bedroom is super cold. And Larry asked if it was the bedroom facing the front of the house, which it is. We said yes. He said, and I quote, "That's super weird because a tenant who lived up there before I moved in died in that room." I'm not sure who she was, and I don't intend to ask for details. She's been nice to us so far, so let's hope she stays peaceful and harmless. Right, well, I would not be sleeping in that room anymore. As soon as someone was like, oh, oh, that's so crazy, someone died in that room, I'd be like, are you kidding me? Thank you for your story. Would all of you want, if you moved in somewhere, say you were renting somewhere, or even if you were buying a house and you moved into that house and then somebody was like, and like weird things was happening, if somebody died in that room, would you want someone to be like, oh my God, that's so crazy because someone died there, that's so weird that's happening to you? I think I'd rather not know. I don't know, because then you can get someone in and like priest up the place. You know what I mean? Like execute, exercise the place. So my glass theme has gone a little bit like nowhere. So we have our next story or stories. This is called Creepy Non-Ghost Stories. Nice. If you guys have any just creepy stories, or they don't have to be all they don't have to be all be like ghosts. They can be like weird people, weird aliens. I have two little creepy stories that happened to me when I first moved out my childhood home nearly a decade ago. I'm so old. I'm with you there. I started dating this guy in college, and the relationship turned serious pretty soon after we began dating. Then my boyfriend asked if I would consider moving to California with him for a brief period while he gained experience as a chef. I said yes, and within weeks we were in a rundown little town an hour from San Francisco. I didn't care, it was my first time living away from home, and I was excited. The only apartment we could afford was so old and dingy that, thinking back, I can't believe I was okay living there. I think we've all lived in some pretty shitty places. A few days after settling in, I checked our mailbox and noticed that there was mail for the previous tenant. The name of the man, Ephraim, really stuck with me because my grandfather had the same name. Ephraim. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. For some reason, I thought this was a good sign. The next morning, I was in my morning rituals, coffee, breakfast, etc., when someone knocked at the door. I thought this was odd because it was fairly early. I asked my boyfriend to open the door, and the man at the door began asking my ex-boyfriend if he knew anything about a man named Ephraim. The man at the door was a journalist, and explained that the night before, Ephraim had been involved in a high-speed chase in Vallejo? Oh, I can't say that, I'm sorry. Vallejo? It's not Vallejo. California. And the police caught up with him. They had discovered that Ephraim had killed his wife with an axe and had her mangled body in the trunk of his car. I wanted to move out immediately. I was so sure I would find limbs under the sink. Upon further research, we found out that the guy had murdered other women in the area as well. Oh. Story 2. Our apartment building was sat next to a large alleyway that dipped into a ditch covered in bushes and trees. It wasn't gated or fenced in any way. Super dark at night, super creepy. At this point, my boyfriend and I didn't really have any furniture for the first few months, so we set up a mattress down on the floor and had our television propped up against the window that faced our patio. I'm smiling because that was, I think we've all done that. The patio was enclosed by a short wooden fence and faced directly into the creepy ditch behind the apartment. One night, we stayed up watching TV, which eventually led to other things. Just as things were about to get more heated, my boyfriend jumps up, runs out of the bedroom and out of the apartment into the patio, and I just lay there in the nude. Completely confused, my boyfriend ran back inside. Oh! And said he had looked up and had seen a pair of eyes look back at him through the crack in the blinds on the window. When my boyfriend ran around the patio, he had seen a man jump over the patio fencing and back into the alley ditch. This pervert had been watching us through the window and had seen me nude. The worst part was we didn't know how long it had been going on. I refused to live on the first floor after that. What in the Jesus? Oh my god. Terrifying. Why are humans scarier than ghosts? What is going on? Thank you so much for your stories. That is, referring to your first story about the murderer, there's something scary about where murderers have been, if that makes sense. Although they might not be dead yet, and although they might have not killed somebody in that area, there's something about their general being there that is terrifying and leaves us a horrible feeling, you know? Okay, I'm gonna put on some lashes. Okay, so I've just put some lashes on to finish up the look. I feel like we can have one more, and I think I'm just gonna like sit here and listen to it. So let's have a another audio one, shall we?
Hi Robert, I really enjoy your Ghost and Makeup Mondays. Keep up the good work with them. I appreciate they take you a long time to make and edit, and I hope that this voice recording is okay for you. This is the story of a tarot reading that I had a couple of years ago. So I never had a tarot reading before, and I've always kind of been interested. So myself and a friend decided we were going to get one as like a new experience, and I randomly emailed a tarot reader who lives in sort of a town near me. Obviously did not know this lady, just sent her an email. She knew nothing about me. My Facebook profile is set to private, so there's no way she could have found out very much information at all from looking at my profile. So I'm just trying to make it clear that obviously there's no way she could have really known very much about me at all. I went along to the reading. My friend had hers done first, and then it was my turn. And the woman said, she said, I've got somebody here, a man. It's your grandfather. Then she said, no, it's not your grandfather, but he's like your grandfather. And she says he's a big man, well built, sort of strong. He wants me to let you know that he had a really hard life, but he was very happy at the end, and he's in a good place now. I was in tears at this point. There is no way this woman could have known that this man was my step-grandfather. So my mum's real dad, I never knew, as he died when she was 14. And my grandmother remarried. My step-grandfather, who I consider my real grandfather, was a German prisoner of war. He'd had a very hard upbringing. His mother had died in childbirth, giving birth to his sister, and his father killed himself when he was around 5 years old, so he was raised by an auntie. When the war happened, he was basically made to fight. If you did not fight for the German army, then your life was made very difficult for you. And he was caught fairly early on in the war and became a prisoner of war, and eventually was brought over to England and ended up in a prisoner of war camp in Wales. This was before he was even 21. He was eventually released from the prisoner of war camp, did not go back to Germany because by then They were all sort of part of the Soviet Union and behind the Iron Curtain. So he chose to stay in Wales. During this time, he taught himself to speak both English and Welsh. And he worked as a farm hand for a couple who treated him as if he were a son. Because West Germany, where he was from, was behind the Iron Curtain, he lost all contact with his family, and he was not able to re-establish contact with them until the early 1990s after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Obviously, because he was a farm labourer, he was somebody who was strong, and from obviously what I've told you, you can tell his early life was very sad. But after he married my grandfather, and when I was growing up, whenever I knew him, he would always say, "Hands back," that means little hands in English, is a lucky boy and is a happy boy. So there's no way this woman could have known any of this. So I know that was my granddad there, with her letting me know that he was still a happy boy. So that's my story.
Oh, so nice. Thank you so much for sending that. It's so nice to have some kind of clarification almost that they're okay and still looking after you, even if they're somewhere else at the moment, you know. That's so nice. Oh, what a nice way to finish this Monday. So this is our finish. I mean, it's meant to be glass like, but I don't think it is. To be honest with you, these cream eyeshadows are so nice. They've really kept the, like, that strong pigmentation, and they're not crumbly or anything. They actually feel really comfortable on the lid. They're not sticky or like crumbly, so that's good. If you want to send in any ghost stories, weird stories, whether it be audio recording, video recording, just an written email, you can go ahead and send them to this email here and I will get round to them. I'm still currently in March, guys. I'm still way back in March still, so we're getting there. We're getting through the year, but I'll just ask you to be patient when you send them in. Thank you again to June's Journey for sponsoring this video. I will leave a link down below so you can go ahead and check it out yourself. Thank you so much for joining me. Have an amazing week ahead. Look after yourself. See you soon. Bye.